All right. So this is video 1 for Raymond's Run. Our focus today is allusion and dialect. And my partner here wants to say hello.
Hello.
All right. And now on to our studies. So you should have already read Raymond's Run. We started it in class, but now we need to focus on some other details of it. Um, as you watch this video, make sure you're taking notes, all right? On your study guide, your guided notes, actually. So after you watch this video, you should be able to define allusion and dialect, have a stronger ability to identify allusions in literature. So once you figure out what an allusion is, be able to spot it in a work of fiction or nonfiction in all different types of genres. Understand how dialect contributes to a writer's how a writer develops their characters and to the writer's style amongst other elements of the story. It's really important that you know that you're shooting for these goals, these learning targets. All right, so don't forget, do take notes as you watch. Just follow your guided notes, and you should be able to um, see where it lines up with the video. All right, let's start off with a common misconception: allusion or illusion. All right, so they are two very similar sounding words, but they're two very different things. On the right is an illusion with an I. All right, and you might see, those pictures where there's a picture in a picture. You might see a vase, but you might see two faces looking at each other. An optical illusion. All right, but an allusion with an A is a literary device. And as you can see in our cartoon here, it says, "Hello, Sylvia. Oh, hey, girl. Can I call you right back? I was just putting my curlers in." Well, look at her hair. Does she have normal hair? No, they are snakes. So that's an allusion to who? Think about it. Medusa. All right. So I guess Medusa, when she wants to style her hair, puts mice, gives mice to the snakes, and they curl up. Constrict curlers. Ha ha ha. Anyway, it's an allusion to a literary figure. But an illusion is for the eyes. Okay, it gives the appearance of something that may not be really be there, something that's there, but also gives the appearance of something else. Just look at clouds for an example. They are clouds, but sometimes we think we see other things in them. All right, moving on. So, what is an illusion? Well, your first learning target is, how do I define it? An illusion is a reference to something that is in current events, TV, history, literature, art, sports, science. The list goes on and on and on. Our picture here, for example, is of Bart Simpson. He is actually in there, but he's a bird, and Homer Simpson pointing at Bart. Now, Bart is a blackbird. Well, this particular clip of an episode is referencing Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven. So it's an illusion. And The Simpsons, that whole series is great for drawing connections between classic literature and modern day illusions within their cartoon. All right. So why do writers use illusions? They expect you, when you read their work, to know what they're talking about. So there is their assumption that you will understand the connection, and you'll be able to understand the connection and how it relates to what they wrote, or to their character, or to the setting, or to the scene, or what have you. They hope that it will enrich your reader's experience. So, that they deftly use this analogy to another, this analogy through allusion to maybe a famous work of literature, or to another character in literary history, and you go, "Oh man, that was awesome. That totally makes sense to me," and it helps you understand their story more. But the downside is allusions can become outdated, which means Maybe if the story is written 100 years ago and has an allusion to something earlier than that, you may not get it because it's not part of your general knowledge base, your pop culture, for example. If living now, I can make an allusion to Harry Potter or the Twilight series, and most people will get it. Whether it's about, sparkling vampires or what have you. But if I was 150 years ago and I made that allusion in something I wrote, no one would get it because it's not part of their content, their general content knowledge. All right, so allusions in Raymond's Run. So on the left here, you see a picture of Mercury, and it's in relation to the quote from the story. It says, "The big kids call me Mercury because I'm the swiftest thing in the neighborhood." Well, first off, you have to understand who is Mercury. Mercury is a Roman god. He's known for a variety of skills, and swiftness. His speed is one of them. Notice the winged hat, the winged shoes. We see their reappearance in the new Percy Jackson series and those movies. So you may be able to make a reference there. Um, but they often reference him as Hermes or Hermes. Um, he was very, very fast. He was a messenger of the gods. And that is who Mercury is. In Roman mythology, it is Mercury. In Greek mythology, it is Hermes. Um, and you may be familiar with one or the other. All right, so then comes the second question where you go a step higher. Yes, you've done the first step, you've identified the illusion and what it's talking about. But the second part is it appropriate? Does it make sense? How does it connect? So I'm asking, is this an appropriate illusion? Well, what do we know about Squeaky? She's an athlete. She's super fast. She runs. And so, yes, this might be an appropriate illusion. All right, another illusion. When speaking about Gretchen and Rosie, Squeaky says, "She can't afford to throw stones." Well, that's referencing a proverb that says, people who live in glass houses should not throw stones. So maybe you've heard this reference. Maybe someone in your life, your mom, your dad, grandma, auntie, has said that before when maybe you were having a moment where you were being judgmental, or um, you know, you heard someone else making a judgment against you. Well, first off, you've identified the illusion because maybe you've heard it before, or you've seen it before, but what does it mean? All right, well, typically it means that you should not criticize people for having faults similar to your own because no one is perfect. So, um, you should assume that you know that you're not perfect. And so if you're criticizing someone else, you should know that they have the ability to see back and see your flaws too. And so it goes back kind of to the golden rule, treat others as you would want to be treated. Um, and it's a very common saying, but maybe not so much in 2013. But let's take it an even higher step. What does it say about the characters? What does it say about Gretchen and Rosie? They're judgmental. They make comments. They pick on Raymond. They're snotty. However you want to characterize them. What does it say about Squeaky? She's pretty smart. I mean, she's referencing a common proverb of sorts. She is realizing at a very young age that while she is judgmental, that people shouldn't be judgmental. People shouldn't say just hateful things unless they're willing to open up basically their closet to everyone's inspection. So, it says a lot about Squeaky. It speaks to her maturity level, and doesn't speak well of Gretchen and Rosie. All right. Are there any other illusions? So I'm going to challenge you. Find an illusion on page 552 of your book. Um, what is it alluding to? And how does it add to your understanding of our story? So if you look at your guided notes, you'll see the challenge there. Read over 552, find the illusion, and answer those questions. All right, so moving on. So our second portion of our video today is about dialect. So what is dialect? A way of speaking that is characteristic of a certain geographical area or a certain group of people. That is your first learning goal. Can I define dialect? Now, to take it a step further, dialect also contains special vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. Well, why do writers use it? They use it to capture the voice of a character or characters. But you need to understand those first two blocks there are part of your first learning goal. What is dialect? So, how is dialect used in Raymond's Run? Well, first off, the story is written in first person, so you hear Squeaky's true voice. And since most of the story is kind of a monologue, a narrative from Squeaky, you hear so much of her true voice and how she speaks and how she thinks in this dialect. So you might hear phrases like, oh, brother, or uptight, she don't know me, took up for her, and salty. Our writer based her dialect off of her own personal experiences, and it is a dialect of Harlem, a neighborhood in New York. All right, so to finish up our video today, I have two questions for you. They're additional challenges, basically, and they are both on the two topics that you should have learned about in today's video: allusions and dialect. So the very first question asks you to find, which you should have in the challenge already found one. It says, find Squeaky's allusions and explain what they reveal about Squeaky's interests and education. So go back to the text, use your guided notes, find them, find the page number, write them down, and then do the next part. Explain what they reveal about two things: interests, Squeaky's interests, and education. All right, I've challenged you to find three of those. Your next task is about dialect. And it says here, in a dialect, words can have special meanings, pronunciations, and spellings. What do you think the italicized words in the following sentence mean? I don't think you're going to win this time, says Rosie, trying to signify with her hands on her hips, all salty, completely forgetting that I have whooped her behind so many times for less salt than that. What do those italicized words mean? Rewrite this quote as someone in your neighborhood saying it. So two things to do. First off, what do those italicized words mean? What does signify, all salty, whooped, and salt? What do those mean to you? And finally, can you rewrite this quote as someone in 2013 would say it? All right, so that is the end of our video for today. I hope you have paid attention, and hopefully you have a better understanding of dialect and allusion.